you doing? How you doing? Only one more day till subathon. I'm both excited. Dreading it is a strong word, so not quite that. But yeah, looking forward to it. And also like really sad because it means that Eki is gone for nine days. That's the huge reason why we're doing it. I gotta distract myself. Yeah. What's some Burgundy? Oh no, I'm already dead. Even with the ring light on. Lovely and stilly. I want to make sure I get everyone that had the daily coffee. Let's have that sip together now. 1, 2, 3. That's good. I made it perfect. I thought it was going to be a little bit strong, but no, at least for today's palette, it's great. It's good. So many familiar names being here already. Gives the serotonin of serving big breakfast with a lot of people. I feel that. It definitely, it's one of the things that makes me smile. It's seeing familiar people. It's, not in real life though. Just here. It is very, very pleasant. And it is cute. I gotta agree with Captain here. Throwaway, how have you been? I don't think you were here when we read the, continuation of the trucker story. I don't blame you if you don't watch VODs. I'm not a VOD watcher myself. So I, can fill you in with really bad memory of what happened. I don't see an update for it yet, but maybe that means that we're getting one sometime soon. Hopefully, because it looks like it's going to continue on. It's okay, we will keep you busy. I need it so much. I told Eki, I was like, I need to be preoccupied. That's a huge reason I'm doing this stuff. That's a huge reason, like, we're going to try for 12 hours the first day. And hopefully, I also, like, have rough sleep when she's gone. So I'm hoping that, like, I will overwork myself and feel super sleepy. And will, like, go to sleep right after. Maybe even shower and then sleep after. We'll see. It'd be okay if you're all in my dining room. Let's go. Bingo, just running around like a chicken with its head cut off. F. Yeah, I imagine they keep you busy with where you're at, man. Like, it comes with the territory from what I understand, though. So we do have some stories. We've been hitting the subreddit so hard that the weekly stories are not a thing. We've read most of them, or the ones that seem like they would be interesting. So now we're doing yearly ones. The one from this year. And I think we'll stick with that for a bit until yeah, give us some time to kind of get more stories. What's up, Robin? Oh, good. It's a special weekend this weekend, so lots to do. Oh, okay. All right. Hopefully it's something neat, something cool. But just to kind of share what happened with that story, because I think you were invested. It's definitely going to continue on. Pretty much what happened is he ended up beating I think his name is Russell, beating up his boss and interrogating him and getting some answers. They pretty much, like, once you go on the road, like, pretty much they're being offered to the void or something like that to keep the world normal, I guess, or something like that. And they're having to the merchandise, what's in the back of the trucks are like anomalies that end up in the world, and the point of this company is to deliver them back to the other side. So like all the forest creatures and stuff up stranded there, the forest spirits or whatever they are. So like the police officer, the faceless thing, all the other things, all the people in the towns and stuff are like things that have been abandoned. That I've gotten. Everyone there is essentially lane locked if you're on the road. It's like a space in between like two worlds or something. And then yeah, some stuff happened where the streetlight busted out, in which technically the company is located half in our reality, half on Route 333. And yeah, they things look like they're gonna get real bad. Russell ended up getting away, I think, and there's gonna be some repercussions. Ooh. Isn't that lovely? And Robin, let's have that sip of coffee together. 1, 2, 3. Repercussions, I like those. Oh, I normally don't. It means if I'm getting repercussions, it usually means I goofed. I goofed and I made one of my ladies upset. So yeah, repercussions. Those aren't my things. I don't. That's not a word I like. Applied to me. But if it's your thing, that's cool. I respect it, and I assume there is a more positive association with it. Oof. I wonder if an office being half in an alternate reality has tax implications. I'd wager that it's probably like a government setup thing in that world, in that story. That would seem to make sense. I don't see like a company just doing that out of the kindness of their hearts. So I'm maybe that's why things aren't shared either. Things are top secret. Ooh. Almost feel like it's tax exempt like a church. Exactly, yeah. Like government funded, or, in some way, I would imagine. Thank you very much for the stretch, rat. Let me go ahead and do that. I do like reed percussions. Both very cool families of instruments. Reed instruments and percussion instruments. Can you do like percussive blasts? Like a saxophone? I don't know. Likely. Should call it a tofu-thon. Oh. I mean, we could, I suppose. That's so weird. It just said my encoding. I just got an encoding warning. And all I have is the model. And YouTube. What? But yeah, no, Tofu-thon would be yeah, it's a cool name, but it wouldn't be, maybe for some people, like super glaringly obvious. But I do like the idea. So how you doing? Because, I don't know, you are such a cool guy, a cool cat even, on account of me being a cat boy, so, yeah, what a cool cat you are. And yeah, you always get the praise. You are, in fact, the top praise redeemer, hands down. It's, yeah, it's your thing, and, isn't that neat? Isn't that itself worthy of praise? In this scenario, while it's redeemed? Yeah, I think it is. Look at you, cool guy. There's a technique with sax. It's called tongue slapping. That's pretty percussive sounding. Nice. Do you play sax? It's one instrument that, like, I have a list of instruments that I legitimately would love to learn to play, but I will never be able to because of money. And for saxophone, it's on there. It's it's a little bit lower ranked, but it is on there. It's a very cool instrument. But back when I was in band, when I was I think it was middle school. I think I quit around high school. I was like, I used to play trumpet, but I'm like, screw trumpet, man. I'm gonna play guitar. I'm gonna start a metal band and be a metal guy and tour. It didn't work out like that for reasons we're not gonna get into. But I would play trumpet, and I was, fun fact, the 12th best in my state in middle school, which, you add in middle school, and it's not the greatest accomplishment, but it's still one I hold on to, So that's something. Also, hi, Rat. Yahoy. Yahoy. But, yeah, man. I think, like, realistically now, number one would probably be hurdy-gurdy. I tried violin. I sucked at it, but I love the way it sounds. And hurdy-gurdy is, you get the violin tone with a little bit extra, and it seems easier in a way. Hurdy-gurdy is really cool. I like the idea of bagpipes, but I know that any wind instruments or woodwinds, anything that has a reed, which I guess is woodwinds, I can't play. I mean, I could, given enough time, but I feel like it would just not be great. Yeah. Although, like, if I could go back, I would have gotten a viola instead of a violin. I prefer the sound of it. It's a little bit deeper. Sometimes, like, violin with, the, cheaper models, which is what I have. It's literally right next to me, unstrung, but, yeah, they, too high pitched, and it's a little grating, and I didn't like it. I feel like, viola would be a little bit cooler, maybe a little bit more familiar with the fingers. I have a bottle like, that I need to get restrung, and I feel like it would be, a little bit similar like that, fret-wise, maybe not, but I feel like I would have a better, time wrapping my head around it. Let's see. No, I play flute, but I have a few sax friends. Nice. Sax is really cool, man. You can throw that into so many different genres, and it has a place. Everybody loves sax. It's a peak instrument, man. Also play flute. Noise. I think I remember that still. Yeah. I was a trombone kid. My best friend, and like in school, and I moved around a lot, so that's not saying a lot. For like a year or two, was he started out with trombone, and then went on to play, I think, baritone and then tuba. We actually won a trophy for the best ensemble. I think we had to play like 2 or 3 songs. I remember, like, one of the things that we would do was the 007th one. I think the Star Wars, something Star Wars related, and then we played the Star Spangled Banner. Yeah, and we got a little trophy for it. He was also one of the best in our state as well. It's cool. Big fan of the hurdy-gurdy. Hard agree. Stilly, also. Enjoy your abyss. Enjoy the abyss. I hope you have a good day. I know it's not fun going back after some time off, but I hope it's relatively chill. Yeah. Hurdy-gurdy, peak instrument. It really is. I wish, like, one of my favorite folk metal bands is Mitz. Let me back away from the mic. Mitzital. You gotta say it all goofy and all deep, like they do in their songs. Isn't that a funny joke and reference that is wasted on probably everyone? Yeah, but they're like a really cool band. They have like the Estonian version. It's just traditional Estonian instruments. Torpil, Kano. I think those are the main ones. Also, like, I guess essentially recorders. But man, like, it would be cool if they got hurdy-gurdies in there. You know what I mean? It'd be nice. Cello? I once dated a boy literally only because he played cello, and I wanted to listen to him play. I mean, I guess that's fair. I feel like that was probably me with guitar. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. But I feel like it was. We're not going to get into that. I will cry. The emotional damage is lasting. Oof. Tofu and his fantasy game instrument era. What does that mean? I could, give it enough time, I could play these instruments. I just don't have the money for them. You're making me miss being in a wind band. I feel it. It's one of those things that, like, I kind of wish that I could, not go back, but I wish I would have, like, stayed in band, throughout school. I feel like maybe I would have done something with it. I was just a little poop. I still am, but significantly less of one. But Sonoma, I still feel like man, I wish I was in a band again. But then I'm like, no, I know for a fact, and I always have, even in school band, I hate playing live. I can't stand it. It doesn't matter how many people are there with you. It's just I'm not cut out for it, and it took me way too long to accept that. I'll stick to my, like, making metal in my bedroom stuff. That seems to be fine. Yeah. Also, that's part of the reason that we were late to stream yesterday. We woke up really early. I've been waking up really early lately. Excuse me. But we did, like, group hangies a little bit earlier than significantly earlier than usual. And yeah, I ended up writing a song. And when I write a song, I have to do it in one go. If I don't, it ends up like the really good song idea that I have, and I never come back to it. Yeah, so. And then I think I took a nap afterwards, because I just got really sleepy. That's what's been killing me, is like I've been waking up at like anywhere from 1 or 3 a.m., getting about 4 hours of sleep, 4 or 5 hours of sleep, somewhere in there. And then just staying up until time for Eggy to go to work, and be like, you know what? I'm sleepy. I'm gonna go take a little nap. I hate it. It is what it is, though. It does give me, like, alone time, which is nice, and I can kind of exercise a little bit, which is, I don't know. I like being awake at that time. I just hate being sleepy. Thank you very much, boredom. Thank you very much. One hand here, the other here. Thank you. Appreciate you. But yeah, Sonoma, I feel miss being in a band. And if you guys want, I can maybe near the end of the stream, we can turn the volume on it down, but we can play the song. It does have singing in it. It's really weird, because, like, I always search up black metal drum tracks when I make music, because it's just realistically my favorite genre. But I like so many different types of metal, and just write whatever seems right in the moment. So it had, like, I don't know, black metal, melodic black metal, I guess. But just kind of commercialized is probably how it would be received by, the cult, the true cult people out there, because they're singing with it, which I don't generally do, but I'm like, this would actually sound good, like, with the singing part. I can't sing well, but I also do that too, because, like, my little lady and a couple of other people ask for it and like it. So like I've been trying to incorporate singing into stuff. But if you guys want to hear it, I'll play it at. I can play it now, or I can play it at the end of the stream. And if you care, I will let you guys decide that. No, I have a few metal songs I love with sax in it. White Ward is the one that always comes to mind. That one album that I don't remember the name of, but they're really cool. They're okay. Like, it was a neat album, and one of the ones that I would probably like go back to and just listen to again. That and violin are my favorite metal guest star instruments. I'll tell you one danger that was really cool. There's this Polish band called BSC, black metal, but I think I forget the name, and I think it was spelled weird, but I think the album is called Trans Satanism or something like that. Something like that. But they did like kind of like techno bouncy stuff with black metal, which sounds like it would just be horrible. It's not. They nailed it perfectly. It's one of my like favorite black metal albums for sure. Have a good rest of the day, Stilly. Yes. It's like saying Dio. You can't say it without the voice. Hard agree. Do I post my music anywhere? Under the gaming channel, there is stuff posted on Ko-Fi for people to download, which I haven't done in a while, but most of it is YouTube, under the gaming channel name. I haven't posted in a while, so most of my recent stuff isn't really up there. I should definitely do that sometime soon, I guess. And what's up, Boredom? Thank you again, buddy. Thank you again. I appreciate it very much. And cheesy Eloise. Yay. A metalhead? Yeah. Like since a teenager, man. Since a teenager. It started with like oddly enough, Nickelback was really cool. I know they get shit on, but they have good songs, man. They have good songs. Like their old stuff. Maybe it's nostalgia at this point, but like from them to like System of a Down and Disturbed and Godsmack. This is very much aging me, by the way. And then like instantly from that, hearing Cannibal Corpse for the first time, being like, oh whoa, death metal. Oh my. And yeah, just like ran from there, got into like death and black metal forever, and was a teenage metal elitist. Was so annoying. I know I had to be. But then started to chill out when I heard Children of Bodom. That really opened up metal for me, and gave me a huge soft spot for Finnish metal, specifically like just Finnish melodic metal, Winter Sun, Insomnium. Others that I can't remember on the spot. But nowadays I just like pretty much just like black metal promotion. That's all I have time for. Just wake up early and make coffee and chill out and listen to any new releases. France and Germany continue to surprise me. Two countries that I absolutely hated for black metal. Hated their like stereotypical black metal regional sounds, I guess. And I know it's kind of silly to judge, but there's, if you listen to the genre long enough, you can kind of tell where the countries are. Although it's getting a little bit harder nowadays. It seems like at least the uploads are being I don't know, things are changing and for the better. But yeah, like the past year or 2 years, man, those two countries have like put out some really, really solid stuff. A song reveal would be fun. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that. I might miss the end of the stream, so I'd be down to hear it now if everyone is too. Yeah, if anyone else is interested, let me know, and we'll definitely turn it down, which is probably gonna affect the quality of it. But we can definitely show it. It's not great. That's why I didn't post it. I did post it to like my personal Discord, but ended up deleting it just because like I don't know, the drums sound weird. I don't track my own drums. I do everything to like a pre-made drum tracks on YouTube. But yeah, I don't know, it ended up hitting weird. And maybe it was like one of those things that I just listened to it while I was making it for hours, and it just got grating, you know what I mean? That could definitely be the case. Maybe it's not as bad as I felt it was. But I don't think I'm going to post that one anywhere. It was just, I hadn't written music in a while. And that, it just, the mood kind of struck me. I've always liked Nickelback's older stuff. Good. Yeah. I mean, I get why people poop on the band, and it's legitimately fun too. But, yeah, their old stuff's good, man. I can't stage this passing for it. Thank you very much, Eloise. I hope you have fun. I hope you have a good day. So I will let you guys decide what you would like. You can we can play the song very quickly. It's like 4 minutes maybe, or we can save it for the end of stream and go ahead and read some stories. I can set up a poll for it. We'll do it for 2 minutes, and I'll just chat until then. Here's song now or after stream. Here, new song. That's what we'll do. Now. At the end. We'll do it for 2 minutes, and there we go. The poll is up and running, so if you're not feeling particularly chatty, but you do want to weigh in on it, there is the option. Also, maybe before we read, I'll go ahead and refill my coffee. It is near the end. Oh, and Annie, thank you very much for the coffee. Oh, my model dies. Oh no. Let's have a sip together. 1, 2, 3. I guess I can also look for more stories that just seem interesting. Maybe this is what we'll start with for throwaway. This title is I didn't want to be one of those idiots who can't follow rules. And I'm just scrolling down really quickly. Thankfully it's not super long, but like partway through there's a list of 8 rules. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that is what that's who you are to me, buddy. You're the rules story enjoyer. You made that very clear, I think. Pretty sure. Okay, I think I'm just gonna turn down the sound stuff. Or no, I'll just do it with the program. There's gonna be the sound of rain in the background, so hopefully it won't impact it. Let's minimize that, and OBS to find it. I titled it Oceans, so be warned it might get really loud for a moment until I can pause it. Okay. I'll put it at like 50. Let me move stuff around on the screen. Get OBS back up. Okay. Well, let's see what it's going to come in at. I'll also mute the rain, actually, because I'm in control. Ho, ho, ho. saw Ivy. So it definitely has like black metal elements and is like at points reminds me of Hoth, if you're familiar. It's a cool game. Sure, I can grab you the link really quick. Yeah, all right, that was that. So that's what we worked on. It was like, it's not bad, but I don't know. I didn't feel good enough about it to like, post it anywhere. And again, deleted it from my own thing. There's like some good ideas there, but I don't know. But yeah, like Captain, none of the recent stuff is there. I don't think. But if I remember, then I'll upload it. I'm happy you liked it, man. That's sweet. It was okay. It had like definitely good elements, but man, when I was doing the screamy stuff, there's the right way to do it, which I can do, but doing it wrong and involving the throat as much as possible, which is not good, sounds like so much like grittier and more gnarly and nasty and old school, which I like that. So I kind of overdid it a little bit, and yeah, messed up my voice yesterday. That's why we had like the extremely short stream. Yeah, I'm still feeling it a little bit today. I try to do like the gritty like Metallica style singing, like just messing around. I'll normally like walk around, when I'm doing stuff or like cooking or something, and like just like hum or sing. And no, I done goofed. It's not the day. It's not the time for it anymore. I think in a couple of days I'll be good. But yeah, really not the smartest thing to do before a 12-hour stream that I have to do tomorrow. But that's also a classic me, man. I kind of just do what I feel like doing, and that seemed like the thing to do. Anyway, then we have a story here, Think You Throw Away, titled, I didn't want to be one of those idiots who can't follow rules. I'm a no-sleep addict, especially these days with nothing else to fill my time. I spend endless hours scouring new and then the archives for stories that I haven't read yet. My favorite are rules stories. You probably know the kind. I'm a night shift guard at an abandoned mall, and someone left me a strange list of rules. The OP never takes the rules seriously at first. Inevitably, something creepy happens, and they panic and break one. I was literally thinking that, buddy. I was literally thinking that. I always thought that it would be so simple for me to follow the rules by just keeping a clear head. My chance to prove myself came unexpectedly. Hey, you still looking for a job? Tony, my roommate, asked me over at dinner one night. Uncle Mike's looking for an overnight warehouse manager. I hurried to chew and swallow a huge mouthful of spaghetti. I don't have any management experience, I said. Tony waved his fork dismissively. The title's just for show. All you'd be doing is keeping an eye on the warehouse, make sure no one breaks in and stuff. What's the pay? $25 an hour? I choked on a piece of onion. Also, let's see what this was written. Okay, so, yeah, never mind. As I took a gulp of water, massaging my throat, it occurred to me that Tony was doing me a favor. We'd gotten close over 2 years of living together, and he knew that I needed money in a bad way. Where do I sign up? I joked. The next day, an Uber dropped me off at 9 p.m. sharp at the warehouse address. The warehouse was an ugly concrete building nestled between a junkyard and a shuttered dentist office. I knew it was a dentist office because of the rotted wood sign over the door, which read Happy Teeth. Next to it, a chipped picture of a cartoon emoji grinning wildly with a full set of realistic human teeth. I pulled into the warehouse's thick metal door and stepped inside. I found myself in a huge, almost empty room, illuminated by strips of flickering fluorescent lights. A few wooden crates were stacked haphazardly against the far wall next to the other metal door. To my left was a small closet whose door was slightly ajar. To my right, a wooden desk with a chair behind it, and on the desk lay a silvery key and a sheet of printed paper. My heart began to beat faster as I picked up the paper and read the following in large black print. Rules. Lock the door behind you when you enter the building and again when you leave. Do not open the door for anyone. If they are meant to be here, they will have a key. Do not go into the back room, especially if you hear voices coming from it. Ignore any unusual smells. Never open the crates. If they leak, there is a mop in the janitor's closet. If you see a man in a blue and white striped shirt, be polite to him, but do not look at his face. Do not call the police. They are not on your side. Do not talk to anyone who looks like a police officer. They are not on your side. Was this a prank? I tried to recall if I had mentioned my obsession with rule stories to Tony before, and after a moment, I decided that, prank or not, I'd do what I'd wished so many times the OPs of those stories would do. Keep a clear head. Follow the rules. I took the key and locked the heavy metal door beside me. I peeked into the closet, discovering the cramped space doubled as both a janitor's closet and a restroom, containing a urinal, sink, mop, and bucket. Finally, I sat down at the desk, pulled out my phone, and started scrolling Reddit. I was proud of myself for having avoided the obvious trap. If I had gone to scope out the back room, no doubt something would have enticed me to open the door. No, better to stay right here. Several hours of doom scrolling later, I was sitting in my chair, half dozing, when a rattling sound startled me awake. I checked my phone. 1 a.m. I heard the rattling again, coming from the front door. Someone was trying the door handle. I held my breath, staring at the jiggling handle. It occurred to me that there were no windows in the entire warehouse. No one could see in, and I couldn't see out. After a few seconds, The door handle stilled. Boom. The entire door shook, as if someone or something had struck it with tremendous force. My heart jackhammering in my throat, I stood up and slowly backed away. Boom. 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 My back hit something cold. I was pressed against the back wall, as if a switch had flipped. Everything fell still and quiet again. Under my hand, I felt the rugged metal of the door to the back room. Had the sole purpose of the assault by the entity outside been to drive me towards this room? And the sudden silence, I heard something through the wall. It was faint but high-pitched, nibbling just at the edges of my hearing, swelling in volume before dying away again, over and over, and in an irregular pattern. It sounded like a crying baby. I fled back to my desk, my mind whirling. Could there really be a child trapped back there? Should I call the cops? At that last thought, I snapped back to my senses. My eyes went to that printout on the desk. Do not call the police. I shook my head, smiling at the implausibility of the scenario. A baby in the back room of an industrial warehouse. I needed to keep my wits about me. Nothing else strange happened for the rest of the night. I used part of my first paycheck to buy a pair of noise-canceling headphones and showed up for my second shift with them already over my ears. But the noise cancellation was on max. I froze as I stepped through the warehouse door. The air smelled wrong. It was coppery, like an old penny, with an unpleasant undertone that reminded me of a sewer leak, a mix of filth and decay. Coughing, I turned and locked the door. As I turned back around, something caught my eye. The crates at the back of the warehouse were sitting in what looked like a pool of tar, swallowing down a vague feeling of unease. I went to fetch the mop. The tar-colored substance, when I mopped it up, was gloopy like day-old gravy. The coppery smell floated around me, so strong it almost felt like a physical thing. A mist that saturated my nostrils, my clothes, my lungs with every shallow breath I drew. Something touched the back of my head, and my headphones slid off. I spun around, sloshing dirty water everywhere. A man stood a few feet away with my headphones in his hand. He wore a gaudy suit with cream white and baby blue stripes. A gold bow tie sat crooked against a stiff white collar. And his face. I dropped my gaze to the floor, trying to forget my brief impression of his glittering eyes and pale lips. His voice was thin and soft. "Are you the new overnight manager?" he asked. Yes. Yes, sir," I forced out. "No headphones," he said. "Stay alert." I bowed my head like a fool while staring inherently at his shiny brown shoes. "Keep up the good work," he said. The shoes shifted, and his clicking footsteps crossed the room, followed by the sound of the front door unlocking. Once I had heard the door lock slide back into place, I dared to look up. The warehouse was empty. I quickly finished mopping up the mess by the crates. What's up next? We got Kit Kat Stretch and coffee. Thank you very much. much. Good day, would love some help relaxing with your lovely voice. And good day, chat. Good day to you, buddy. Thank you for that, Patty Slip. And what's up, Simp? Daily coffee? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. We don't have too much longer on this story, so we're just gonna focus on that and read it rather quickly. My headphones were sitting on my desk. I sink into my chair, staring at the round black pads that soaked up the dim light. Had the man come in from outside, or had he been in the back room? My imagination, running wild, conjured a vision of him standing unnaturally still in the dark on the other side of the wall. Why had he been there? How long had he been waiting? What if he wasn't the only one? I couldn't calm down. I played on my phone, paced the floor, tried to nap, but no matter what I did, it felt like 1,000 glittering eyes were boring into my back. I needed to see what was in the back room. I read and reread the rules. Do not go into the back room, especially if you hear voices coming from it. I wouldn't go in, I reasoned. I'd listen for voices, then open the door and take a peek. Just a peek, to make sure that I was alone. I apprehensively approached the back door, noting how solid it looked, how thick the hinges were. And I pressed my ear to the cool metal and closed my eyes. I was greeted by silence, broken only by my shaking breathing. Before I could lose my nerve, I yanked the door open. On the other side was a completely bare concrete room, lit by a naked light bulb dangling from the ceiling. I stared and stared, embarrassment and relief alternately washing over me in waves. Boom. I whipped around. Boom. The front door shook with the force of an unseen impact. "Police!" shouted a voice from inside. Boom. My eyes dipped to the sheet of rules. "They are not on your side." "Police, open up." Boom. The inked words swam in my vision. "Do not talk to anyone who looks like a police officer. They are not on your side." My vision exploded with golden stars. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed and being informed by a stern-faced policewoman that I was under arrest. I was too out of it at the time to follow what she said, but I pieced the facts together over the course of my ensuing trial. I had been unwittingly recruited by a criminal organization. The police had been after the big boss, the man in the blue and white suit. When they blew the door to the warehouse with me inside, one of the jury members threw up at the photos of what was found in those crates. No one believed my protestations of innocence. I couldn't explain why I had ignored the crying, mopped up the blood, why I couldn't describe the appearance of the man in the suit despite having been close enough to touch him. Got 40 years without parole. My life is over. But let me leave you with this little warning in case I might save yours. If you find a strange set of rules, don't follow them. That was a nice twist on it. That was a nice twist. What's up, Simp? I can't miss my favorite Catboy stream. I'm your favorite? What's up, lots some amazing twist? Yeah, it was, yeah. I enjoyed it. Really quick, we will, do another poll, just to keep you entertained while I go get coffee. Okay. So, Your choices are 1, 2, and 3. And it is next story. So the first one that we have is, this will be number 1. I grew up on an island with one rule: never talk about the other island. Number 2. I found my wife's obituary online, but she's sitting right next to me. And number 3. For 13 years, I've regularly checked the satellite images of a disturbing house on Google Maps. I'll go get some coffee, and here we go. I'll be right back. Alright, I am back. Hello again, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing good. It's a good day. That was a great story. Agreed. I'll see you another day. I gotta eat and do a thing. Alright, have a good day and be safe away. Okay, so it looks like number 1 is going to win. What's up? Yahoy. Welcome in, Claire. Even though you're not real. And you have an interesting favorite number. Whatever could that mean? Thank you, Simp. Okay. So according to your guys' vote, we will read, I grew up on an island with one rule: never talk about the other island. Bum bum. I was born on an island that only really had one rule. The kind that wasn't spoken but lived in people's posture, the way that their mouths tightened, and the way their eyes avoided a certain part of the sea. We were never to talk about the island across the water. It's up to the east, half a mile off of our shoreline. You couldn't miss it. You'd see it from almost anywhere on our side, past the docks, over the tree line, from the cliffs on the northern edge where the goats grazed. It was always there, sitting still, never changing. A piece of land so close you could row to it in under an hour, though no one did. I can't remember a single adult ever naming it, not even once. And if you said something about it, even by accident, someone would shut it down immediately. Not angrily, just firmly, like flicking out a candle. One time, when I was little, maybe 7 or 8, I pointed across the water and asked my mother if anyone lived there. She didn't scold me. She didn't say anything at all. She just took my hand and led me inside, like I'd ask where babies come from or what happens when you die. That kind of silence. Another time I asked my grandfather if he had ever been. He was cleaning out fish out by the shed. He paused for a second, just too long before saying, "No." Then added, "Never ask about it again." And that was that. It wasn't forbidden in the way that dangerous things are forbidden. It was deeper. Like, the island didn't want to be spoken of, and the people here had agreed to let it be. Our island wasn't big. You could walk across it in a few hours if you didn't stop. There was a village near the western bay, with its stone paths and wooden sleds, houses, and the small church where we held market on Sunday. A few scattered farms, a fishing dock, and the old watchtower from before my time that no one used anymore. It was quiet, steady, the kind of place where every door creaked the same way, and you'd know who passed by just from the sound of their cough. The trade boat came once a week, usually just before noon. We never saw where it came from. It always arrived from the mist. It brought flour, salt, oil, iron tools, letters sometimes, though no one in my family ever got any. It left with barrels of fish and boxes of preserved vegetables, and no one ever left with it. Only the trader ever boarded it. He'd pass down the rope to whoever helped him load and unload, but no one ever crossed the rail. We were on a closed loop. We grew up knowing our boundaries. The sea, the woods, the cliffs, and beyond all that, the other island. Always watching, always ignored. There were 5 of us who couldn't leave it alone. Me, Jonah, Sam, Eli, and Nathan. We were kids like any others. Too much energy, not enough fear. We ran barefoot through the brush, built slingshots from driftwood, dared each other to knock on the widow's door. We spent hot days pretending to be soldiers and cold nights pretending we weren't scared of ghosts. We stole things, but nothing important. Apples, candles, once a bottle of wine we didn't even like. We were just loud, restless boys. Jonah was the biggest, tall for his age, shoulders already starting to widen like his father's. He didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. Sam was the quickest, always first to climb something, first to run, first to joke about things that made the rest of us squirm. Eli was quiet and careful, and always the one who asked, "What if?" before we did something dumb. Nathan was clever, sometimes too clever. He'd make up lies so good we'd believe them even after he admitted they weren't true. I'm gonna adjust my mic just a little bit. And then, there was me. I don't know what I was in that group. I guess I was the one who remembered, the one who carried it longest. We never said it out loud, but we all watched the island. From the rocks by the southern cliff, from the upper fields when the wind cleared the trees, from the shore, when we were supposed to be fishing but spent more time staring at the horizon. We'd talk about it only when we were sure no one else was listening. "Maybe it's a ruin," Eli said once. "Like people used to live there, but something happened." Sam snorted. "What, like ghosts?" "Maybe it's where the trader comes from," I offered. "He never stays." Jonah said nothing, just stared into the distance. We didn't speak of it often, and when we did, it was always that half-serious tone kids use when they're testing how far they can push something without making it real. But over time, the idea started to settle. Not in our mouths, but in our bones, like it had been waiting there all along. We didn't plan it then. but I think we all knew we would. It was Jonah who said it first. We were behind the storehouse, the five of us perched on a broken cart that sank slightly in the middle, chewing through whatever scraps we had stolen from our kitchens. Salted fish, hard bread, half-rotted apples that still had enough sweetness left in them to be worth the trouble. The kind of food that tastes better because it wasn't given to us. He didn't clear his throat or build up to it. He just said, "I think we should go." Like he was talking to himself. No one asked where, but we all knew. That silence, the way no one looked at each other, the way we kept chewing like the words hadn't landed, that was agreement. Sam sped a seed into the dirt. Tomorrow? Jonah still didn't look up. 2 mornings. Before sunup. Nathan nodded, and Eli wiped his pants. I didn't say anything, but I was already picturing the tide. We met 2 mornings later, just before sunrise, in the kind of pale, still light that feels like the world hasn't started yet. The moon was visible, hanging low in the sky like it had not made up its mind to leave. The dirt was damp from night air, and everything around us smelled like the ocean. Not fresh like wind and salt, stale like old ropes and barnacles in the inside of a bait barrel. We didn't bring much, a couple of flasks of water, a loaf of bread wrapped in a cloth, some rope, a pocket knife none of us could use right. Eli brought his father's compass. The face was cracked, and the needle had a habit of drifting, even when you held it steady, but he brought it anyway. Sam brought a hammer for some reason, but we never said why. Jonah had taken the skiff from the far end of the dock, where the unused boats were kept. It was in good shape, but it floated. Or it wasn't in good shape, but it floated. That was enough. It creaked when we pushed it into the shallows. And for a second, I thought the sound might carry and wake someone. But the village above us stayed dark. No lights, no footsteps, just the soft hiss of water and the thump of oars against the inside of the hull. We climbed in. Jonah and Nathan took the oars first, setting a rhythm without speaking. And the rest of us sat in silence, our backs to the shore. I didn't look back. The water was colder than I expected. Not freezing, but deep cold, like it came from underneath something. There wasn't much wind, just a faint breeze that moved in slow, irregular pulses. It brushed the faces of the sea in places. I watched the light from the sky ripple and disappear beneath the oars as we moved. As we got further out, the shape of the island came into view, slowly, like it was pushed through fog we hadn't noticed before. I had seen it all my life, but only from shore. And now, from the water, it felt different, bigger, heavier. The trees formed a jagged silhouette against the sky, and the hills behind them looked like sleeping animals just starting to stir. The closer we got, the more familiar it felt. The shape of the coastline, the slope of the land, it was like rowing towards a memory, one you couldn't fully place until you're inside it. There was a moment, maybe halfway across, where I turned to look behind us and saw that our own island was already fading into the mist. A low fog was moving in fast, curling over the water like smoke through grass. The beach, the houses, even the trees, gone. Just a soft gray smear behind us. It looked further away than it should have. Fins, Sam said, and he said it too calmly, like he was trying to not cause a stir. We all looked, and just to the right of the boat, something slid under the surface. Long and smooth. It passed without a sound. Then another and another. 4, maybe 5, just below the waterline, circling in wide, slow arcs. I couldn't see their shapes. Not fully. But they moved like they had purpose. Sharks, Jonah said under his breath. Blacktips, I think. Eli leaned forward. How can you tell? Jonah didn't answer. He just started rowing faster. So did Nathan. Neither of them said a word, but the skiff began to lurch forward harder with each pull. Sam reached down for the hammer in his bag and gripped it like it would make a difference. The boat started to wobble with the force of the strokes. Water splashed. The nose tilted. I tried to stay calm. But the air around me had gone thin, and every muscle in my body was bracing for something I couldn't see. Nyahoy, nyahoy, welcome in. I'm gonna drink some coffee, and apparently a cup. The island was close now, close enough to see the rock line clearly. No dock, no paths, just broken shoreline and thick brush that came almost down to the water. A crooked tree leaned out over the water near a narrow stretch of beach, barely wide enough to stand on. It looked untouched, uninviting. Then came the hit. A soft thud, followed by a jolt of that rocked the skiff. Like we had slammed into something just below the surface. Also, I don't know why, but I just really got the urge to play Final Fantasy XIV and be a red mage. Random. Why? Somebody from the FC must be on. My MMO senses are tingling. Anyway. Reef, Jonah barked. The boat tilted violently to one side, then the other. Water surged through a crack below the center bench. Cold, fast, and rising. Something heavy clattered against the boards. Maybe the hammer. A second later, one of the black bags split open and spilled across the bench. Bread, rope, the knife, all sliding toward the low side. Out, someone yelled. We didn't argue. We moved. The skiff was already sinking under us, one side dipping hard. I kicked off the bench and dove, but not even sure if I was jumping or falling. The water swallowed me to the neck, and the cold hit like a punch, and my breath locked up in my chest. Behind me, splashing, gasping, limbs crashing into the water. I could hear it all, but I didn't look back. The current followed harder than I expected. My arms were sluggish, my legs heavier than they should have been. I kicked toward shore, every breath shallow and burning. Something brushed past my foot, too fast for it to register, too soft to be a log. I didn't stop. The distance could have been more than 30 yards, but I felt like swimming through glass. The kind that keeps pulling you down instead of letting you break through. When my fingers finally hit rock, I hauled myself forward so fast I scraped both elbows raw. I didn't care. I just wanted to be out. One by one, the others crashed into the beach behind me, crawling, dragging, coughing up seawater. The skiff was already gone, either swallowed by the reef or drifting, half flooded, back into the mist. None of us had our bags. No compass. No food. No knife. The hammer was probably at the bottom of the sea by now. Everything we packed was gone, and we stood there, shivering, dripping, catching our breath. One by one, we looked at one another, counting. 5 of us. No one missing. No one hurt. At least not badly. Then we looked around. It took a few seconds before anyone spoke. "This is the same place," Sam said, slower this time. "It's the same beach." It almost looked like it. Same crooked tree leaning out over the water like it was eavesdropping. Same cluster of black roots jutting up on the curve of the cove. Same soft slope leading onto the tree line from beyond. Even the shape of the shoreline felt familiar, like we had looped through time instead of space. Jonah turned in a full circle, scanning the trees and the shore and then the water again. "We didn't go anywhere," he said. His voice didn't sound angry, it sounded resigned. Eli was squinting at the ocean, his face tight. "We rowed across. We saw the island. We left." He didn't say it like he was arguing. He said it like he was trying to remind himself. No one responded. We started walking, slowly at first, trying to make sense of it all. The beach looked nearly identical to our own, but it wasn't. The rocks were a little too sharp. The slope rose at a slightly different angle. The tree line was thinner. The color of grass not quite right. Close enough to confuse us. Different enough to keep us on edge. There was a narrow path leading off the beach and into the woods, just wide enough for the two of us to walk side by side. None of us remembered it being there before. The air was different as we climbed. Heavy and warm, like the weather had changed without warning. The trees swayed gently, but the grass up on the slope moved just a little too much. Jonah took the lead. Sam, just behind him. Then Nathan, Eli, and me. We'd only made it about 30 or 40 paces up the trail when Nathan came to a stop. At first, I thought he was just catching his breath. But then I noticed where he was looking. Up at the slope, towards the tall grass hugging the hillside. I followed his gaze and froze. She was so close. A very tall woman. She wasn't walking. Wasn't moving at all. Just standing in the grass like she had been waiting for us to see her. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the wind kept going like she wasn't part of the world. The grass around her swayed. Her dress clung damply to her legs, but she did not shift. Didn't even breathe. Her arms hung straight at her sides. Too straight. Too heavy. Like she didn't know how they were supposed to work. She stood maybe 10 yards uphill, close enough to see the wrongness in how she carried herself. Her posture looked almost human, like a figure drawn from memory by someone who had actually never seen one. That's when I realized that what had hooked in my brain. Everything around her moved, but she didn't. Not even a twitch. Do you see her? Eli's voice was low, tight, like he wasn't sure if he was talking to us or himself. Of course we saw her. None of us had looked away. It felt like blinking might break some invisible barrier and make her come closer. And then she smiled. I didn't understand why it made my stomach twist at first. It wasn't exaggerated. It wasn't monstrous. It was subtle. Just wrong. Her mouth stretched into what should have been a smile, but the shape was off. The corners bent down instead of up, like someone had tried to mimic it from memory and had gotten the geometry wrong. But the rest of her face, the parts that move when you smile, those were perfect. The cheeks lifted, the skin around her eyes crinkled. That mismatch was worse than anything. Her eyes were kind. Genuinely kind. Not cold. Not distant. She looked at us the way a mother looks at her children. There was a warmth in her expression, and it made my skin crawl in a way I still cannot explain. I can tell you this. If I'd known then what I know now about that woman, I would have turned and swam back out to the water. I would have taken my chances with the sharks. Gladly. More coffee. She raised her arm. The motion was slow, unnatural, like her joints didn't belong to her. Her hand lifted to one long, stiff finger, pointed straight at us. We didn't scream. We didn't run. We just started backing away, careful not to turn around, like we thought that not facing her would make things worse. Sam bumped into Jonah, who muttered a curse under his breath. "Why is she pointing at us?" Sam asked, just barely audible. Nobody answered. We kept watching her finger. Something felt off. The angle, it wasn't quite right. Eli squinted, stepping half a pace forward. "Wait," he murmured. "I don't think she's pointing at us." I looked from her finger to her face, and he was right. Her eyes weren't on us. They were aimed just above our heads. Her arm cut across the air in a straight line, not to us, but over us. That's when I felt it. That slow pull in my gut. The primal feeling that something was behind me. And we all turned at once and saw 5 people standing in the woods behind us, just beyond the path, half shaded by the trees. Not hidden, just waiting. They looked like us. Same height, same hair, same builds, but they were wrong in the ways that you didn't notice at first. The clothes were mirrored, buttons on the wrong side, shoelaces tied in configurations that didn't make sense. Nathan's double had a tear in his shirt, but on the opposite side. Eli's double stood with his arms crossed like he always did when nervous, except the arms were reversed, left where the right should be. They weren't moving, just standing there, perfectly spaced, aligned, like mannequins arranged in a storefront. We didn't speak, they didn't either, just stared, expressionless, like they were waiting for something. I stepped back without meaning to. The crunch of leaves underfoot sounded deafening. The air had changed. Not colder, not darker, just wrong. those we trusted had quietly stopped applying. I glanced back at the woman, and she was still there, no longer pointing. Her body hadn't moved an inch, but her head was pushing forward. Just her head. Tilting, straining towards us like it was being reeled in. Her neck stretched too far, vertebrae visible under the skin that looked too tight to bend. Like she was trying to close the distance without taking a step. Like she wanted us to reach us. Like she wanted to reach us with her face alone. As she stared at us with that same backward smile, mouth bent into a shape sorrow could never take. And those warm, impossibly kind eyes. That contradiction. Grief twisted into joy. Settled in her face like it had always belonged there. Her eyes were now on us, not the doubles. Us. I could feel the weight of her attention pressing against my chest. Eli made a sound, a sharp, shaky breath that collapsed into a sob. Quick and uncontrolled. That was all it took. Her body didn't move, her face didn't change. She just opened her mouth and screamed. It didn't sound human. It didn't sound like anything that should exist. It started low, like the groaning of a ship under pressure, and then it rose into something sharp and metallic, like rusted metal being torn apart underwater. The pitch climbed beyond what a person should be able to produce. We hit the ground instantly, hands to our ears. The sound wasn't just loud, it was inside us. In our bones, our teeth, our skulls. Sam was yelling something, but I couldn't hear it. All I could hear was her. And then it stopped. No fade, no echo, just gone. The silence that followed it hit just as hard. My hearing felt muffled, like I had been underwater. For a few seconds, I could only hear my own breathing, sharp and uneven. When I looked up, she was gone. And the others, the ones who looked like us, they were gone too. Disappeared without a trace, like they had never been there at all. I want to go back, Eli said behind us. His voice cracked halfway through. We shouldn't have come here. We need to leave. None of us answered. We didn't have a plan for any of this. We didn't even know where this was. I think we are home, Ethan muttered, but it came out wrong. No one agreed. No one even looked at him, because whatever this place was, it only looked like home. And now it knew we were here. We had no boat, no choice, so we moved inland. There wasn't a conversation about it, no group decision, just a quiet understanding that staying where we were felt worse than pushing deeper into the island. We didn't even know what we were looking for. Maybe shelter, maybe sense, but doing nothing seemed like asking for whatever came next. The forest swallowed us quickly. The path that had just been there a few minutes ago disappeared behind a wall of brush and bark. The deeper we walked, the stranger everything became. The trees were wrong, not in obvious ways, nothing that would scream out to someone who had just arrived, but we knew trees. We had grown up climbing them, chopping them, counting the rings of the ones that had fallen in storms. And these felt like copies, imitations. Like something had tried to recreate them from memory and missed the proportions. Too many knots. Branches that twisted back towards the trunk. Bark that felt like damp cloth when your hand brushed past it. The ground was soft, but not with moss or leaves. It felt loose, like something had recently shifted underneath it. The air smelled like iron and mildew and something sweet rotting deeper in the woods. Eventually, we found a clearing, no wider than a fishing boat. A fallen tree split down in the middle, half uprooted with thick green moss crawling along its trunk and veins. Noah sat down on it, hand on his knees. His face fell. "What was that?" he asked. No one had an answer. Sam was pacing again, running a hand over his hair over and over, and Eli stood with his back to the tree, eyes scanning the brush as if he expected the woman or something else to step through at any moment. That's when we heard it. A click. Soft, mechanical, out of place. Not a branch snapping or the wind shifting, but the distinct sound of a latch lifting. A door opening somewhere ahead of us in the woods. None of us said to move toward it, but we did. No one suggested turning back. No one asked if we were sure. Maybe because saying it out loud would make it real. Or maybe because that sound, the quiet, metallic certainty of it, felt like a thread pulled taut, and we couldn't stop ourselves from following where it led. As we moved, the forest didn't grow thicker. It grew darker. The lights flickering through the trees lost its shape, not just shade. Like the sunlight itself had started to dim before it reached the branches, and the air pressed in again, not sharp like on the beach, heavier, like something watching had started to breathe. Eventually, the trees broke into another clearing, and the grass here was shorter, yellow and dry, crunching underfoot. And in the middle of it stood a house. None of us spoke at first. It wasn't broken down or ruined, just old, weathered boards, sun-faded paint. A small porch sloped slightly to one side, and the roof looked like it had snagged a little in the middle, like something heavy had once sat on it. It looked like the kind of house someone might still live in. We approached slowly, cautiously, not curious. Something about it made our steps slow down without us talking about it. Kept scanning the windows, half expecting someone to be standing behind them watching, and Nathan stopped before the others did. He tilted his head slightly, then pointed to the corner of the porch. "My dad made a post like that," he said quietly. "What do you mean?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. He walked a few steps closer, squinting at the frame around the door, then to the woodwork under the windows. "It's like our house," he said. "It's not the same, but it's close." He stepped onto the porch, and we followed, hesitant. None of us wanted to be near the place, but no one wanted Nathan to go alone either. The door was already cracked open, just a few inches. Nathan hesitated anyway, like someone might still reach out and shut it. Nothing did, so he pushed it open the rest of the way. The smell hit first, just stale hair and old wood, like a room that hadn't been opened in too long. The kind of place where dust just doesn't float, it settles into the walls. It looked small from the outside, but the inside felt deeper, bigger than it should have been, like the halls had stretched just enough to be wrong. Inside, the light was dim and orange tinted, like it was filtering through the wrong kind of glass. The hallway was narrow, a coat rack on one side, Faint scuff marks on the floor. A chair in the corner that looked familiar, though I couldn't say why. Nathan stepped in at first. We followed, slowly. Nathan was quiet. He was looking at the photographs on the wall. They were of his family, his parents, his sister, him. But everything was reversed. His dad's watch was on the wrong wrist. His sister's birthmark had switched sides. The smiles looked normal at first until you stayed too long. Too symmetrical. Too wide. To the right, the doorway led into what looked like a living room. Mirrored. And on our island, Nathan's living room was to the left when he walked in. And here it was flipped. Not just the layout. Everything. The furniture was the same kind. Not identical, but close. Same colors, same wear patterns. A lock on the wall ticked just a half beat slower than it should have. The paint above the mantel showed a landscape we all recognized, except the river ran in the wrong direction. I wanted to go, Eli said behind me. His voice was barely there. None of us answered, we just kept looking. The room held us, not physically, but in a way that a nightmare does, where the air feels thick and stepping backwards might wake something up. We weren't just frozen, just slow, careful. Jonah was eyeing the bookshelf. Eli hovered near the fireplace. I stood by the wall, watching the second hand of the clock shudder with each tick. Sam moved towards the painting above the mantel, staring at it like he expected it to blink. No one talked. We were all too deep in it, scanning corners, studying the little wrong details, trying to figure out what this place was. Then Sam turned, brow furrowed. Where's Nathan? Every head snapped around. He wasn't there. He hadn't made a sound. No footsteps, no door creak. He had vanished like air. We searched the house fast, calling his name, moving from room to room in a rush that didn't feel loud, just clumsy. Like our panic didn't want to make noise, but couldn't help it. There weren't many places he could have gone. The hallway led to a small kitchen, a stairwell, and a narrow back room with a locked door. Jonah tried the handle and found that it would not budge. No light under the crack, no sound from inside. Sam ran up the stairs 2 at a time, Eli and I close by. They creaked under us like normal stairs, nothing theatrical, nothing dramatic. But every groan from the wood felt too sharp, like the house was responding. There were 2 bedrooms upstairs. One was empty, bare except for a bed frame and a window nailed shut. And the second had a dresser, a mirror with a cracked corner, and more photographs. A different version of Nathan's family. This time, the faces were missing in some of the frames. Blurred out or too dark to see. But no Nathan. When we reached the bottom, Jonah wasn't there. We found him just outside, a few steps off the porch, arms crossed. I checked around the houses too, he said, not looking at us. He's not here. We stood there, all 4 of us, facing the house like it might give something back. The open door gaped in front of us, cold air leaking out like it didn't belong to this place. Sam looked at me. Do we go back in? No one replied. Then footsteps from inside, slow, measured, getting closer. The porch creaked, and Nathan stepped into the doorway, just stood there like he had never left. His face was blank, his shirt was damp. None of us spoke. No one moved. He stepped forward slowly, one hand brushing the frame like it grounded him. He looked rested, calm. His clothes were the same, but the fit seemed off, like they belonged to a version of him just slightly smaller or built differently. He blinked, squinted at us, and then frowned, puzzled. "What?" he said. "Why are you all staring at me?" Eli was the first to speak. "Where the hell did you go?" Nathan tilted his head. "What do you mean? I was upstairs." "We checked upstairs," I said. "Every room." Nathan looked at each of us one by one. His face was blank at first, but then something shifted. A flicker of a smile that came and went too fast, not warm, just performed. "I saw you," he said. "Through the railing, you were in the hall. You just walked off." That didn't make sense. We had torn through every room. He wasn't there. No one had seen him. And there was no way he could have missed the noise that we made. As I watched his hands, Nathan rubbed his thumb against his knuckle when he was nervous, a little tick, unconscious. Nathan's hands were still relaxed at his sides. He stepped down from the porch. None of us moved. "Are we going?" he asked. Same voice, same face, but the rhythm was off by a beat. Too calm. Too smooth. No one answered. We just stared, waiting for something to twitch wrong. I opened my mouth to say something, but I couldn't make words form. Not the right ones, anyway. We just started moving. Brisk, determined, not quite running, but no longer willing to stop. The sky was diminishing fast, the woods deepening in color, and everything around us seemed to press in with a quiet that felt more like watching than stillness. Jonah walked up front. Stam stayed behind me, or beside me. Eli and Nathan trailed behind us, a little slower, not too far back at first. We were almost to the beach when it hit us. A voice cracked open behind us, rasping, high-pitched, like a throat trying to speak for the first time and tearing itself apart in the process. There was the shape of a word, but the sound, I didn't know how to hold it. We froze. None of us looked back. "Run," Jonah said firmly. That was it. So we ran. Branches whipped our arms, roots caught our feet. The path bent the wrong way more than once, and every tree looked like we had already passed it. But we kept moving, pushing forward through the tightening forest until the trees finally broke open again and we saw it. The dock. Warped and crooked, half sunken at the far end. A boat was tied to it, not the one that we had taken, but something older, narrower, still afloat. We stopped at the edge of the road, right next to the boats, and turned. I checked to make sure that everyone was with us. Eli was not. I watched the clearing, expecting to see him jogging up behind, cursing or out of breath. But the bend in the path stayed empty. We waited. A few more seconds passed and then we heard it. A scream. Ragged and sharp, echoing through the trees like it didn't belong to a voice, but Something breaking. No words. Just pain. Jonah moved first. He stepped away from the boats, 1 foot towards the woods. And that's when she appeared. She walked slowly out from the bend of the clearing, circling into view. Cradled in her arms was Eli. He was still screaming. His body writhed, legs kicking, hands clawing at her shoulders. She didn't struggle. She didn't even seem to notice. Her arms were wrapped tightly around him, pulling him against her chest like a mother calming a child in the middle of a tantrum. Her face was fixed on us. Not Eli, not the forest, just us. Her eyes never left ours, like she wanted us to see everything, and we did. That same downward smile carved her mouth into a deep, stained, strained curve. It looked like the expression had been sculpted into her face with a wire pulled tight and wrong, but her eyes told a different story. Soft, glassy, full of warmth, like she was watching something beautiful unfold. As she held Eli tighter, her lips quivered slightly, as if the shape was difficult to maintain. Her cheeks twitched, like they couldn't decide whether to frown or laugh. She was trying to be gentle, and she wanted us to know that. Eli was screaming, but it wasn't just fear. It was pain. Real pain. The kind that stops sounding human. His arms pushed against her shoulders, clawing, slapping, and nothing that made a difference. His legs kicked out violently, his whole body thrashing like an animal in a snare. The heels of his boots barely scraped against the dirt as he was being held up. And still, she looked at us like we were the ones that she was holding. Sam made a sound, a half sob, half curse, and stepped forward. Jonah grabbed his arm. "We can't," he whispered, his voice cracking. "We can't." But we all took a step anyway. I did. I felt my foot move before I meant it to, like something in me couldn't stay still and just watch. Then Eli screamed again. Louder this time. High and desperate, raw at the edges. The kind of sound that burns your throat even when you're not the one making it. And kept kicking. Kept trying. She didn't flinch. Didn't tighten her grip suddenly. It wasn't violence. It was pressure. Steady, controlled, like she was soothing him into silence, one bone at a time. His screams of agony unraveled into choking, broken gasps, like even his voice was given out. Then we heard it. A single crack. Subtle. Quiet. Like a thick branch snapping underfoot. Eli jerked once in her arms, then stopped moving. His head lolled against her shoulder. His arms dangled at his sides, empty of fight. She didn't stop smiling. She held him there, still watching us. Her eyes locked onto ours like she wanted to see what we would do next. Her fingers brushed his back in slow, meaningless circles like she was soothing him to sleep. Jonah stepped backwards first, then Sam. I followed. I didn't even think, I just moved. The boat scraped against the rock as we pulled it into the water. and Nathan hadn't spoke. I looked at him once, just once, and I wish I hadn't. He wasn't crying, wasn't breathing hard. He was just standing completely still, watching her. And there was something small and soft at the corner of his mouth, an attempted smile, just enough to be seen, just enough to be wrong. We climbed onto the boat, pushed off. No one looked back except me. She was standing at the edge of the trees, Eli's body limp against her chest, one arm wrapped around him like he was hers, and the other lifted slowly. She waved. We didn't speak on the water. None of us touched the oars at first. The tide just gently pulled us, like the sea itself was too tired to fight. The sun had almost slipped beneath the horizon, casting everything in that strange copper light that makes the world feel unreal, like you're seeing it through memory instead of your own eyes. Jonah finally took one oar, Sam the other. I sat in the middle, arms locked around my knees, staring at the ripple patterns trailing behind us. I don't remember when we lost sight of the mirrored island. I just remember the moment the Rowan finally came into view. Really quick, gonna take some coffee. What's up, me? Enjoy the lurk, and welcome in. I have no clue how to say your name. But, Nyahoy. Nyahoy. The same island we left. Same houses. Same hills. Same docks. But we didn't come back whole. One of us was dead, and one of us came back wrong. There was a crowd at the shoreline, people from the village, parents, a few older brothers, a grandmother with her arms folded tight. They weren't shouting or pacing or scanning the horizon. They just stood there, like they had been waiting. The boat scraped against the sand, hands reached out. My father, Sam's mother, Jonah's uncle. They helped us out without a word, their eyes flickering from face to face, counting. When they didn't find Eli, no one said it out loud. They just knew. His mother began to cry, quiet at first, then sharp and shuddering. His father stood behind her, unmoving, staring past us at the horizon like he was still hoping to see his son come into view. One of the older villagers, maybe the priest, maybe just someone who had done this before, put a hand on her back and gently led her away. She didn't resist. She just let herself be led, walking like someone made of paper. Someone reached for Nathan and pulled him ashore, calm and deliberate. His mother rushed forward next, throwing her arms around him, clutching him so hard it looked painful. She was crying too, but it was different. Her hands twisted in the back of his shirt, but her face stayed tense, like she was trying to convince herself that this was really him. Like she already knew that she'd have to let go again. Nathan didn't hug her at first. He stood stiff for a second. Then slowly, he wrapped his arms around her. When she pulled back to look at him, something shifted in her face. Her hands stayed on his shoulders, but her fingers had gone stiff. Her eyes scanned him like she didn't recognize what she was holding. Nathan smiled. "You're holding me like I died." His voice was almost playful. Almost. He then let out a small laugh. Quiet, then, like he wasn't sure if the joke had landed. It was too practiced. It started too fast and ended too late, hanging in the air like it didn't know when to stop. His smile stayed in place, but it didn't settle right. The corners of his mouth began to pull down instead of up, and at first it looked like a twitch. Then it kept going, bending further, stretching the muscles in his face into that same strained expression that we had seen on her. A smile that was trying to mimic joy, but failing at the geometry of it. His eyes didn't match. They looked heavy, glassy, and full of something that didn't belong in a smile. Regret, maybe, or grief. He wasn't afraid, just resigned. Like something in him understood that what came next and didn't try to fight it. His mother let go of his arms. She took a step back, one hand covering her mouth. Behind her, the others had already started to move. They didn't raise their voices. They didn't argue. It was as if the whole village had already made peace with what they needed to do. A few men stepped forward. Jonah's uncle, Sam's father, a neighbor I didn't know by name. Nathan didn't resist. He didn't ask why. He just stood there, shoulders low, eyes still on his mother. One hand reached for his sleeve, another for his collar. They escorted him to the sea like they had done it before. No ceremony, no shouting. Just the sound of the tide and the low murmur of footsteps on wet sand. They held him under until the waves stopped moving around them. And then they let him go. I still wonder if the real Nathan died in that house, or if we left him in there, alive, watching us walk away. Sometimes I think what came back with us wasn't pretending. I think it believed it was him. We begged our parents to send someone back, a boat, a search party, anything. But they just looked through us, like we hadn't spoken, like we hadn't seen what we saw. By the next day, no one even said his name. That was a really good story. I absolutely loved it. I think it was really well written. Yeah. And yeah. We have some other ones, but I am unsure if we'll read them. Let's see how long they are. Oh, this one's really short. We can definitely do this one. The other one is we'll run with this one. Okay. Yeah. This one is titled, oh, thank you. wife's obituary online, but she's sitting right next to me. I am chronically online. I Google lots of things and people when I'm bored. I've Googled my own name before, along with friends, acquaintances, conspiracy theories, and random internet sundries. But last night was the first time I Googled my wife's name. And I found something I'd never forget. The first hit was an obituary. Of course, I assumed it was someone with the same name as her. Her first name is Emily, and her last name is pretty common. I'm not gonna share it here because I don't want to be doxxed. But it clicked, anyway. Just out of curiosity. My heart fell through the floor when I saw a photo of my wife on the website. Blonde highlighted hair, dark eyes, and the dates matched up to 86 through 2012. What's up, Annie? According to this obituary, she died when she was 26. And I met her when she was 27. There's no way, I thought. This must just be someone who looks like her with her name and her birth year. But I knew it was too many coincidences to be wrong. When I read the actual obituary, it only cemented things for me. It mentioned her love of horses, her volunteer work at the soup kitchen, her church, and her work as a biologist postdoc. So many details matched up that there was no way it could be a coincidence. What you looking at? I jumped as my wife came in from the kitchen and sat down next to me. On instinct, I slammed the laptop shut. Nothing, I said. Then, realizing how suspicious it looked, I added, I was looking at birthday gifts for you. For a second, her face froze, and I was worried that she didn't buy my lie, but then she smiled. That warm smile I loved, crinkling her eyes at the corners. That's so sweet, she said, coming to sit down next to me. I swallowed. Yeah. She cuddled up next to me, but I felt completely on edge. The warmth of her skin no longer felt warm and inviting. In fact, a chill ran down my spine. After a few minutes, I extricated myself from her embrace. I don't feel good, I lied. I'm gonna go lay down. Oh, okay, she said, pouting. Before she could say anything more, I ran upstairs. As soon as I got on my bed, I brought up the obituary again. I stared at the grainy image of her face. It was definitely her, that warm smile, those mysterious dark eyes. There was no way it could be anyone else. I scrolled through some of the other results, and I realized some of those too were related to her death. There was a Facebook memorial page, friends posting on it names I didn't recognize, mourning her loss more than 10 years ago. The university she worked at had put out a statement with their condolences as well. But then I found something that made my heart stop. A news article nestled at the bottom of the search results page. Emily had just died. She had been murdered. My jaw hung open as I read the news article. Phrases popped out at me. No sign of forced entry. Partially dismembered. Killer still at large. The news article didn't have a photo of Emily though, so this maybe was a different one. It had to be. It couldn't be my Emily, who was sitting on the couch watching TV downstairs. The sound jolted me out of my thoughts. The door to the bedroom creaking open. Emily stood in the doorway, idly still. The whole light was off, shrouding her face in shadow. Emily? I asked, my voice shaking. I came to check on you, she said in a soft, cool voice. Thanks, I said, quickly turning off my phone and slipping it behind me. I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm fine. I'm glad to hear that, she said, her voice going lower. I tried to keep my cool as she climbed into bed with me. I lay there, stiff and cold, as she wrapped her arms around me. I love you, baby, she whispered, as she cuddled with me under the covers. I love you too. So that's where I am now, writing this from my phone, as Emily sleeps next to me. I don't know if I'm safe here. I don't know who or what I'm dealing with. All kinds of crazy scenarios have been floating through my mind. Did Emily have an identical twin that died, and she took over that twin's identity? Is she some horrible creature from folk tales who killed Emily and took on her appearance? The more minutes that tick by, the wilder my theories get. None of them make sense. There's only one thing I'm sure of. Whoever or whatever I'm sleeping next to isn't the real Emily. Eating dinner? Nice. What you eating, bro? What you nomming on? Always gonna be jealous. I'm actually gonna go eat soon myself. I think I'm gonna make a bacon cheeseburger with a lot of cheese and like 2 patties. And I'm making myself hungry. I might try to make them. I want to try to make like the little Wendy's square burgers. You know, they're yummy. I guess the shape doesn't matter, really. But anyway, I'm doing okay. I can't complain. It's been an okay day overall. But yeah. I think we will end here. That's the one that I want to rate that I know of. But I do want to end by saying tomorrow is our subathon. I gotta set up a timer. I think what I've settled on is that for every sub we get, it's going to add 3 minutes to a clock. I was going to say you could find the list of what's being offered on Blue Sky, but you can also just look on the stream. I think I'll probably leave that there. Maybe. I don't know. There's no real plans for how it's going to go. I think we're going to start off with ASMR, and we're going to do our normal thing for a little bit. I think when I go for lunch, I'm going to have some guests on filling in so I can take my time cooking and eating. I'm going to try to make sure I have something that's like quick and easy to make that won't take up a lot of time. Imagine I'll probably hang out and play games or something. There is a specific game that I saw my dear Eloise playing that I thought this is really good. I fear that it's going to make me sleepy. It was a very cozy game, and like my mind was like going so fast yesterday. And I was like a little anxious and feeling weird. But like watching her play that game, I don't remember how to say it. It's some weird title. Apparently it's really old. But the sound design's nice. The visuals are really cool. And it's almost the like a liminal space vibe. So I felt like it would also kind of work for like how we do our no sleep stories, right? Where it's like they're horror based stories. they're like sometimes unsettling, but also like the stream is generally, in my opinion at least, pretty relaxing. So I think we're gonna end on that. Yeah, we'll see how it all goes. I hope to see you there. And as always, with subscribing or attending streams, there's no pressure. There's no obligation. Show up if you want to show up, sub if you want to sub. But most importantly, have a good day. Take care of yourself. That's what matters most. So bye bye for now. And I'll see you tomorrow.